What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Today I got a psychological thriller horror, a mystery type drama horror. This is The Strangers, a 2008 film directed by Brian Bertino. Yeah, let's watch the trailer and get into this one.
I just want to tell you something.
What do you want to tell me?
You are my girl.
I love you, Jimmy.
What is that?
It's okay, there's nothing here. I haven't heard a dog bark or a car pass. Nothing.
There's someone out there.
Hello?
What is it?
It's my phone.
Oh my God.
We gotta get out of here. Now open the door, and I just want you to run, okay?
Why are you doing this to us?
Because you were home.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the world of Cinematics. It's your boy Diego once again. We're looking at another movie today. This is the first home invasion type movie I've looked at on this channel. This is The Strangers, a 2008 film. Just a really interesting and eerie, suspenseful type of horror film. It's definitely a psychological thriller type of horror film because it's got so much suspense and there's so much mind games being played by the villains or the antagonists in this film, known as the Strangers here on out. But yeah, let's get into this one. So it was originally written as Faces. The movie was supposed to be called Faces before they began filming, and I guess they changed it to The Strangers because it seems like more of a fitting theme or a fitting title for this movie. So The Strangers, now this film was based on a few things. So in the beginning of the film, they say it's based on real life events, or rather, it's not directly a copy of a real life situation or tragedy, but it's based on things that have happened to the director and the writer, Brian Bertino. So yeah, let's get into it. So first and foremost, it's based on Brian's experience as a young kid and camping, or at his cabin or something like this. I believe there was people going around knocking on doors in his neighborhood, and they were seeing who was home, and if no one answered, they would go in and rob the place or come back later and rob it. If somebody did answer, they would just say, oh, hey, I'm looking for so and so, give them a fake name. So that's kind of the main background on the movie, and the writing is just this idea of people knocking on doors of houses or cabins out in the woods looking for a place, that would appear to be vacant, so they could go in there and just rob the place. Now, this thing is also based on the Manson family Tate murders of 1969. So these were brutal home invasion type murders of Sharon Tate and 4 others in Los Angeles. Yeah, I guess Bertino was really aiming for the feeling of isolation and the feeling of helplessness of being targeted by random people or strangers, people you don't know, and they don't you have no idea why they're attacking you, they're targeting you. So yeah, there's that. I feel like a lot of horror in general is based on the Manson family murders. Just some crazy shit that went on with Charles Manson, and the crazy motherfucker he was. And then yeah, this is probably the most interesting or most gruesome story or tragedy that relates to this film, and it's the Ketty Cabin murders in 1981. Now, Bertino didn't say he made this movie directly referencing these murders, but there's just a lot of similarities with the Ketty Cabin murders and the Strangers. So yeah, basically the Ketty Cabin murders were unsolved murders of 4 people in Ketty, California. The case involved unknown intruders killing the victims over one night while 3 children slept in the same house without noticing the attacks. So pretty crazy stuff. Yeah, it seemed to be random. It didn't seem that there was any motive to this, and that's kind of the whole idea behind this movie, The Strangers, is it's just an isolated area somewhere at a family lodge or a family cabin, and this young couple in the movie, they go out there after a wedding, and they're kind of tore up in the beginning because Buddy asks his girl to marry him, and she says, I need more time. So the movie starts out with this dreadful vibe and kind of a sad or a misery type vibe to it, and from there, they're about to have sex at 4 a.m, and they hear this loud bang on the door, and yeah, it's just a random chick basically asking for Tamara, a random name, I guess she's just throwing out there. And they basically tell her, no, she's not home. She doesn't live here. You got the wrong house. And then, as this girl leaves, she says, "Okay, see you later." Wink, wink. Like she's gonna be back to terrorize these fuckers. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of the movie, and from there, it's just random stalking. These 3 strangers, these villains, are really trying to inflict the most fear and suffering, psychological suffering they can on these 2 people, this young couple, before they go ahead and tie them up and murder them, I guess. Yeah, the movie was kind of weird. It was kind of hard to follow and didn't make sense at some points, but I'll get to that a bit later. Gonna go over some of the numbers on this thing and some of the cool facts now before we get into the cast. So yeah, this thing was a powerhouse in the box office. It was kind of a sleeper hit because not a lot of people were anticipating this movie. They just kind of seen the movie poster out there and read a bit of the plot, and it got people intrigued, you know. So the film was shot on a budget of 9 million, but it grossed over 82 million worldwide. Yeah, just a massive sleeper hit. I feel like a reason why films like this do so good is because there's certain real life aspects to them. This is not a supernatural horror, you know, fantasy horror. Um, you know, wild imagination piece of crap that will never happen. Situations like this that take place in this movie have happened repeatedly over and over. So that gets people intrigued, you know, it makes them more frightened or more scared knowing that something like this could happen to them. So I think that's what this movie did really well, is just the real life aspect of home invasions and psychological torment from sadists or just really crazy psychopathical or however you say it, you know, sadistic, sociopathic people. Um, so yeah, that's just one of the reasons why this movie was pretty creepy, and I feel like they did the suspense well, um, especially in like the 20-minute mark or the 15-minute mark to the say hour mark or something like that. It was really good. Um, the entire movie was filmed in chronological order using handheld cameras and steady cams to create a realistic, shaky aesthetic. So yeah, it's interesting. The shots in this thing do look pretty good. I do like the cinematography and the way they make these villains kind of stand out in the background as shaky, creepy, ghost-like looking figures. You know, but they're humans. The idea of these sadists is just to creep these people out as much as they can. You know, so no, this film does the visuals quite well. I liked it. Um, what else? Um, to elicit genuine panic from Liv Tyler. This is the main character woman in the film. Um, Director Brian Bertino would trick her by telling her a loud noise was coming from one direction, only for it to originate in another direction. So that's kind of interesting. Um, the exterior of the house was a real farmhouse, while the interior was built on a sound stage to allow for controlled destruction. What else? Yeah, so one of the main antagonists, the man with the scary mask, he does not speak at all. He's the only character that does not speak out of all these three strangers. And I'd say he's the most scariest. He's the one that plays his character uh, plays his character the best, but we'll get to that later. But anyways, the man in the mask, his role was as the leader was not intended. Um, the actor originally considered the blonde character Dollface to be the leader. That's the actor of the man in the mask. The iconic masks were designed to be simple yet easily replicable. So anyone could make up these masks, and anyone could be strangers. Mama Tried by Merle Haggard is featured throughout this movie, and it's played really well in a good setting, and it fits the vibe of the movie, just how creepy and strange these fucking villains are. And I guess that song Mama Tried is by Merle Haggard and the Strangers, so hey, it fits the title of the movie well, the band name anyways. And it's a really good song, actually. In the opening scene, the houses shown in the montage resemble those from famous horror films like Halloween and Amityville Horror. So next I'll get into the cast here. We got Scott Speedman, the man in this film, main character that starts out this film, along with his wife. Scott Speedman plays James Hoyt. Now James is he's the guy who just asked his girlfriend if she wanted to marry him, and she said no. So he's pretty shaken up to start this thing out, to say the least. Now James, his dad or his family owns this cabin, or this remote kind of farmhouse that they go out to after a wedding, after a friend's wedding. And yeah, it's just the two of these people out here, this young couple. And there's not much else to say about James. He's kind of just a hard worker, loves his woman, wants to get married to her, but yeah, she denies him in the beginning of this film. And then next up we got Liv Tyler, as I mentioned, playing the main role of the main protagonist, Kristen McKay, in this film. Kristen is just a young girl. She says she's just not ready for marriage. Now, I get the impression that maybe she's just not sure of this guy James, and if there was another guy she liked more, maybe she would say yes to marry him right away rather than James. But you don't know too much about this situation. She might just genuinely be worried about marriage, and she needs more time to think about it, so kind of hard to tell. But I felt like the acting was kind of bad in the beginning of this thing. It starts out weird, like you don't really know what's going on. It's I didn't like the beginning of this film. The very beginning, once things got grounded and it was a bit easier to understand what was going on, it got better. But yeah, the first 15 or so minutes were kind of hard for me, but regardless, it's still an interesting and mildly creepy, mildly scary movie. Next up we got Dollface, played by Gemma Ward. Dollface is a badass hot blonde who's kind of she's mean, she's a bad bitch. There's not too much to say about these villain characters either. I mean, they're just sort of there. You don't know much about them, right? They're strangers, as the title of the movie goes. But yeah, anyways, she's really hot. She probably says the most out of any of the villains in this movie. So her quotes are pretty good. That's Dollface. And then next up we got the pinup girl, played by Laura Margolis. Laura Margolis. She's the other woman villain, the other the other girl in this strangers group. Yeah, again, she's very hot. You see a bit of her, but you see more of Dollface than anyone, as I mentioned. Well, you see a lot of the guy too, but I feel like you don't see too much of this pinup girl. She's, yeah, just in another mask. There's not too much to say about her either. Next up, we got this guy, the scariest guy in the film, the man in the mask, played by Kip Weeks. Now he's just a tall, bigger guy, but kind of slender as well. And the way his mask looks is just really terrifying. I think they picked a good look for this guy. His mask is kind of a burlap sack with the eyes cut out and a smile on it, like a slight grin. But yeah, very terrifying look to this guy. If you've seen him stalking you in the background, and you were alone in a farmhouse, you'd be like, what the fuck, you know. So that's the man in the mask. I feel like his aesthetic was good. The way he walks, the way he stalks people in this film, and you know, sometimes he's running, sometimes he's just chilling. Really, he's just really good at instilling a lot of fear into his victims, or into this young couple mostly, you know. And then I'll mention, the last character I'll mention will be Mike. Mike is one of James' friends, and he comes by in the second half of the film to check on James. He's going to drive him somewhere, and James is going to leave the car with Kristen, but things get crazy when Mike shows up. He sees smashed cars and everything looks fucked up and out of place. And yeah, it's just a wild psychological thriller ride, this movie. Anyways, Mike is played by Glenn Howerton. And yeah, there's not a lot of characters in this movie, which is nice. I like when they do that, and then you don't have to remember as many people and as many names, etc. And it just helps you focus on the characters and their development a lot more. But to be honest, there wasn't much character development at all in this movie. Like I said, I do like how they did the suspense vibe, and the not knowing who these people are, or why they're trying to kill you or target you, or just psychologically torment you with fear, with aggression, you know, knocking on your door in the middle of the night, smashing your windows, making a lot of noise. So just imagine if you're tired as shit, you know, after a party or a wedding, and you want to go to bed, you're going to be tripping out, your mind's going to be playing tricks on you as it is, and then you got these fucking psychopaths torturing you with loud noises and chasing after you with an axe and shit. So yeah. Yeah, this is The Strangers, man. A decent movie, but now I'll get into things I didn't like about it. So first off, I mentioned it starts out kind of boring and dreadful. The girl's crying in the car, and the dude is popping wine bottles open to drink away his pain because he just got denied by the love of his life. Essentially, you know. And yeah, so other than that, the acting wasn't that good, especially in the beginning by Liv Taylor, is it? Yeah, Liv Taylor and Scott Speedman. Sorry, Liv Tyler. Why do I always say Liv Taylor? Anyways, Liv Tyler's pretty cute. I felt like there was something red on her mouth or on her upper lip in the beginning of the movie, kind of weird. But yeah, she kind of looks like a well, I forget her name, but the girl in Get Smart, and something. But anyways, Liv Taylor kind of looks like her, but not quite as hot. Yeah, anyways, back to the topic at hand. What I didn't like. So yeah, I mean, I could say the first bit of the movie starts out boring, but really kind of the whole thing does, and really it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, I feel like the natural reaction to people banging on your door at 4 a.m. wouldn't be, you know, I wouldn't be so calm about it. I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'd probably have at least my blade out, you know, or something, and say, hey, get the fuck out of here. I'm not playing no games. But they're kind of like, really timid and reserved, and they want to help this lady out. They're worried about her. And then when she comes back for the second time, when this guy goes out, they get scared. But, yeah, man, it's just not, I feel like the vibe was kind of off in this movie. It wasn't exciting enough. It was definitely dreadful and suspenseful, and, you know, it got you scared and interested enough to say, what the hell's going on? What do these people want? But, again, I feel like it was just kind of dry, and it was played out a bit too long. I felt like, you know, get to the point already. So yeah, we got boring kind of taking too long to get to the point. We got shitty acting in the beginning 15 minutes of this movie or so, kind of throughout, but that's when it really hit the hardest to me, and it was like, oh, I don't know if I want to watch this thing. But no, I heard good things from this film, and I wanted to check it out anyways. And I'm not regretting I did. It's definitely a interesting enough movie. But anyways, other than those two reasons, what else? Yeah, not much else. I mean, they could have done better with some of the action. I would have liked to see more gore, more kills, but really it's just a psychological thriller, so you don't need too much of that blood and gore stuff. Yeah, those are the two main reasons. Well, three I could add. More gore and more blood would have been good. Now, the things I really liked were, yeah, mostly, as I mentioned, the real life aspect of this film. You know, I like these type of movies where you're out in a remote location, you know, camping at a cabin or something, and then things get crazy, they get wicked and baneful. I like the home invasion aspect of this movie. They're kind of a couple of young kids out there, and they don't have much weapons or anything, and these people are just masked up random strangers trying to torment them and kill them. It's interesting. So yeah, I like the overall plot and premise of this film. It's just that I don't know. I felt like they could have done it a bit better and made it a bit more exciting, but it's not what they were going for. They were going for a more slow, dragged out, slow burn, psychological, dreadful horror. You know. But no, I really liked some of the plot twists, like how these strangers were trying to make the victims feel like they were the bad ones, you know, for freaking out and for being scared and doing whatever. So yeah, the plot, some of the twists in the film, and then the characters. The third thing I really liked was the characters, mostly the villains, because the protagonists are quite forgetful in this film. I'm not gonna remember them. They're just whatever. I mean, they are kind of a cute couple, so I'll give them that. But no, they were pretty boring, to be honest, and I felt like their acting wasn't that good. But yeah, the villains, mostly Baghead, or the Man in the Mask, they call him. He was just so dreadful and so creepy, so sinister. I love the look of his mask, as I mentioned, and how he just stalks, how he's like a big Michael type figure, Michael Myers or Jason figure, but he's fast. He's got his own style to him. He's fast when he wants to be. He's calculated and purposeful in what he does. So yeah, and then the dollface and the pinup girl. These two girls were very interesting as well. I feel like they were just, you know, well, the entirety of these villains are just kind of random people who love to do sinister shit and torment people, and they get off on it, you know. They get high from it. They get high from blood. They're bloodthirsty. They get high from seeing the fear they put in you. And you know, there is a lot of people like this in society, mostly, you know, in government positions and whatnot. But yeah, it's definitely a good real life feel movie, you know, because there is these type of people out there. I just feel like they could have done it better. It was just boring at times and played out, as I mentioned. They didn't get to enough action, or didn't get to the point enough. Some scenes where the guy and the girl could have just left, maybe in their car, just ran. I don't know why they didn't. They just kept going back into this house, this cursed house. And then when they're tied up at the end, and the lady straight up asks these villains, you know, Kristen asks these villains, you know, well, why did you do this to us? And I think it's Dollface. She says, because you were home. So really, they're just looking for these villains in this area. They're going house to house, knocking on the door, looking for people to be home. And if they're home, they're going to torture them psychologically and eventually kill them. And, you know, some people didn't like the ending of this film. I liked it. I thought it was interesting enough. There was a jump scare at the end where some people might think, it's kind of cringe, but no, I didn't mind it. It was good for me. It's just, the thing I really like about the ending is how, you know, when these strangers are done torturing these people and they leave them tied up or on the floor of this farmhouse cabin to bleed to death or to slowly die, whatever. They're driving out in their truck the next day, and they see two Mormon or Christian boys walking. These boys giving out Bible tracts to people and telling them about the gospel, you know. And so the group of villains stop, and these Mormon boys say, or sorry, the lady says to them, you know, can I have one of these Bible tracts? The Mormon boy says, are you a sinner? And she says, sometimes, which is kind of funny. I thought it was just a nice touch, you know, after these psychopaths are done torturing these motherfuckers and killing them, you know, not just immense torture psychologically, but physically wounding them and hurting them, and leaving them to bleed out. Just really sadistic, satanic shit. She's like, oh, just sometimes I'm a sinner. Just sometimes when I find people lurking in my ends, I tie them up and I fucking torture them to death. Yeah, so I thought that was a really nice touch. And then, yeah, these villains drive off with the Bible tract, and then she says, oh, next time it'll be a lot easier, because now she's got God or whatever, and she can just pray for forgiveness, I guess that's the joke there, I'm not sure. And then yeah, the Mormon boys go find all this smashed shit at this farmhouse, and then they go see Kristen and this guy murdered on the floor. And yeah, it's an interesting enough movie. The ending, I didn't mind it too much, but like I said, there was just too much slowness in this film for me. Yes, it was suspenseful. Yes, they did the slow burn effect, you know, decently, but it wasn't anything like John Carpenter's The Fog for me. It was just way too slow and not interesting enough. But no, this movie still gets points for, as I mentioned, mostly the real life aspects of home invasions, the real life aspects of just sadistic, psychopathic people who love to see people in agony, in distress, in psychological torment, and in physical pain. So it gets points for that. And yeah, it gets points for being a non-supernatural horror movie, because I feel like I've seen enough of these cheesy supernatural movies. And yeah, points for the cinematography. The shots look amazing when these villains are standing in the background, creeping, stalking over this woman and this dude. Yeah, let me know what y'all thought of this one. This is kind of a hard one for me to give a rating, because there's a lot of good things I liked, but there's a lot of things that were just like what are you doing, you know? But for me, I think it's gonna get a 4.5 out of 10. You know, just because there's some things that were really a problem for me in this film, mostly with the acting and just the boringness, the lack of common sense from the main characters. But no, I really like the villain effect and how they did that well. So yeah, no, I did, like I said, I don't hate this one. I did enjoy it, and I did feel that eerie, suspenseful dread with you know, being isolated, and you feel kind of helpless because there's these three motherfuckers torturing you and fucking with you. There's not much you can do. But no, I would have liked to see a bit more fight back from the protagonists. They kind of just cowered, and didn't know what to do. Like, these motherfuckers don't even have guns, and you're scared of these clowns in masks trying to fuck with you. I don't know. But yeah, I might have liked this one a bit more for the rating I gave it, but realistically, it's the rating I have to give it because, yeah, like I said, it's got a lot more problems. But yeah, it's definitely a movie that gets you thinking of, hey, what would I do in this situation? You know, would I have handled it as well as this young couple did? Would I have done more? Would I have cowered and ran? You know. But yeah, that is The Strangers. This is my movie review on this one. Let me know what y'all think. It's your boy Diego, and until next time, take care out there. Roll them blunts fat as fuck, you know, pour up your liquor, pour up your beers, whatever you gotta do to get by. And yeah, I'll be here. I'll be back soon with another review. Alright, you crazy, fucking maniacal, sadistic bitches. I'm out. Peace.